discussed 2 weeks ago. I want you to tell me in one word, describe the how would you describe the attitude and I don't want to say any words, I'll give you those words. How would you describe the demeanor of Hajar alayhi salam and the girl who spoke to her mother and said that I'm not going to? How would you describe those two? Give me a word that would describe them. Tawakkul, okay, we'll write these words down. What else? Taqwa, very good. Patience, okay, we're getting places now, mashallah, that's good. What else?
Fear of Allah.
Adab, okay. This is gonna be tough. Okay, adab. What else, sisters? You can write these words down. These are very important. Huh? Fitra, okay.
Fear from Allah.
Fear, okay. What else?
Upholding of values.
Upholding values, okay.
जिसमें अल्लाह राजी हो.
Seeking the pleasure of Allah, very good. Anyone else?
यकीन.
Trust, okay. Anything else? I want you to take. Sorry, go ahead.
Contentment.
Contentment. We're getting very close, mashallah.
Ikhlas.
Sincerity, okay. Sorry, honesty. Honesty. We're getting very close, mashallah.
Reliance on Allah.
Reliance, yes, tawakkul is a reliance. Okay, I want everyone to write one word. Conviction. Conviction. Very important word. Conviction is that I'm going to do this and nothing's going to stop me. Nothing's going to change me. Nothing's going to make me doubt my position. Conviction in the Holy Quran is described to us more through the stories of females than it is of the males. For example, we learn about the conviction of Maryam alayhi salam. We learn about the conviction of Hajar alayhi salam. We learn the conviction of the women folk that despite how the world literally rotated 360 in their lives, they continued to move their direction. They did not stop. They didn't change. And so if we make like a tree, if we were to make a tree, and the top of the tree is where all the blessings are, the leaves and the fruits, what umbrellas this tree and its success is conviction. It is contentment. It is satisfaction. It is a sense of peace and serenity. It's good. Before, people were questioning, oh, the seed is not going to grow, and the seed started growing, but the plant was crooked. So people were saying, oh, this plant is going crooked. And then this plant started getting straight. Oh, this plant is not going to have leaves. It bore the leaves. It got the fruits. It gave beautiful fruits. And not only did it give beautiful fruits, but it gave fruits that allowed those fruits to be known by a special name. You know, we talk about mangoes, for example, or apples. Did you know there's over 3,000 different varieties of apples? When it comes to mangoes, there are dozens of different varieties of mangoes. So every fruit then in those fruits stand out from the fruit category itself. From the creation of Allah, the human beings, or the humankind, from the sisters, there are certain that are notable and the ones that are always used to exemplify what it means to be a good human being. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to stand out, not just in the category of humans, not in the category of Muslims, not in the category of sisters, but Allah wants us to stand out and be unique. How can that uniqueness come about? It is through conviction. All that you all had summarized, tawakkul, taqwa, fitra, fear, upholding values, seeking the pleasure of Allah, trust, contentment, sincerity, honesty, reliance, these are all parts of the process to gain that conviction. So today, what we're going to do, keeping of course with the book, and inshallah sometimes in the upcoming weeks, we may just make a little exit from the book and come back on inshallah. But the goal is to understand that this umbrella, which encompasses all these beautiful values and the perfection of this tree and its fruits, how do I make it reality? How can I be that? How can that be me? Does that make sense? See, words are very good, mashallah. There are plenty of words and books, and there are many different processes that have been presented by many various authors. But the question right now is, aside from the words, aside from the reminders, aside from all that we hear and all that we know, how can this become me and I become it? The process is what we really need to focus on, inshallah. So today we're going to step into one of the many processes of when that seed sprouts and starts detaching from the seed and becoming its own thing. Detaching in the sense that now it takes on a whole new form, but it does not forget the seed is where it came from. Remember last 2 weeks we're talking about the stress factor. When you move from the seed, when you move from the source, when you move from that comfort area, then it's very difficult to become acquainted with a whole new set of life, a whole new set of challenges, a whole new set of building blocks. And subhanAllah, understand from the light of hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really wants us to be connected to Him. But when we force ourselves away from Allah, Allah lets go. He's not going to hold on to us. Let go. Go. But then we won't be there for, He won't be there for us. That's all. So when we try to fight Allah, no, I want my way, I want it like this, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a dictator, na'udhu billah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not an authoritarian ruler that He's going to say, I'm going to kill you before I let you go. No, go. But remember, my help isn't with you anymore. My direction isn't with you anymore. My light isn't with you anymore. My mercy is not with you anymore. So tomorrow when you're alone, because what happens? What makes us leave Allah? Because we see other sources, other people, other things that give us that comfort zone that we're good. It's like bubble wrap. It looks good. You put layers of it, it's really good. But it takes a few people to start jumping on it and popping every bubble that all you'll be left as is saran wrap. And that saran wrap is not going to be as protective as those bubbles were. So the bubbles is what we start forming in our life, assuming that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not really needed right now. But we don't understand when we think about it temporarily that we're going to jump from Allah and then we'll jump back on. But in that time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left us to ourselves. He has left us to our decisions. He has left us to our actions. So there is no malja and manja. There is no one to retreat to, no one to return to. So we are going to address the first step in making a tree. Let's call it a mango tree. A mango tree which brings the most unique mangoes about, that its price is weighed beyond silver, right? It has a value to it. And these values are dictated by the effort that was made to make that tree unique. What is it? To make that tree unique. You know, if you want steak, for example, go to any store, you could buy a steak, right? You could buy halal meat and make a steak. But there are different breeds of animals, and the steak of it is such that its steak is $100, $150 just for a small piece. Why? Because effort was made from the beginning of the animal's process till it got to your plate to show that value. We are going from now to Allah. There has to be a value building process that will give us notability of uniqueness in this world and notability of our uniqueness in the akhirah in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This whole world teaches us about value. All of us who go in the kitchen and we cook or do anything else or bake, we bring raw things together which don't make no sense, from flour to butter to milk and eggs, but we work it and we make a cake. If someone was to look at it and say, you know what, this is not a cake, and they gave up, those materials would just be materials and ingredients. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us through our life example when cloth comes together, which before that was thread, which before that was cotton. A process went to make this cloth unique. Now any person who touches this cloth, their goal is to make what comes from that cloth unique. It's going to be in the Harrods or the Nordstrom. It's not going to go to Big Lots. It's going to go somewhere big because it has shown us its process has already been big. We need to take it to the next level higher. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through giving us Islam, has given us a level of uniqueness, has given us a value that has been pre-written before we touched it. Are we willing to take it to the next level? Or are we willing to drop it? That's our individual call. Any questions on this, inshallah, thus far? Does everyone understand? We want to know the process, yes or no? And we want to not just know it, we want to do it. Because, as I said this before, Islam is a process through which you feel your religion, you don't know your religion. We have to feel it. If we're not feeling it, then it's all superficial. It's all goods from China, right? Right? We go to the dollar store, they're good, but it's going to last only as long as it's going to last, right? This is how our material world is today. You could tell when that good comes from a certain area, what's the longevity and what's the value of it. So in the same context, human beings, we have a lot to do. Before we do that, inshallah, and go to phase 1 of sprouting from the seed. There was 2 sisters, I think, raised their hands partially. Sister, any question? No? Any questions? Okay. Now, I want to give an example. You work for someone, but you come on your time, on your terms, and you do what you want when you want. Right? Take this example. But Friday morning, 10 o'clock, when everyone lines up to get their paycheck, you're first one there. Now, I'm not saying that the person behind the counter will not give you the paycheck, but I assume they're not going to give you the full paycheck. And they'll pay you something that's still of value because, again, you're doing what you want. But maybe they might even tell you, come back later and pick it up, right? There's a saying, kama tudinu tudan, the way you do, you are done with. The way we do things is the way things are done with us. The first step in the process of uniqueness to that level of conviction of Maryam alayhi salam and to Hajar alayhi salam and to all the notable figures that we look up to, the connection that made it unique from the seed was salah. Prayer. What did Zakaria alayhi salam say? كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا. He would enter and he would find some unique stuff there. And she would be engaged, this verse doesn't say it, but she would be engaged in prayer. Hajar alayhi salam, when she was left alone, she was engaged in prayer. Asiya, the wife of Fir'aun, she knew what her husband can do to her, and he did to her because he did it to everyone else. But she first resorted to prayer. The magicians that learnt about the truth of Islam from the practices and the demeanor and the actions of Musa alayhi salam through this competition of magic, they also did prayer. And their conviction sprouted so quickly that the Pharaoh said that you have conspired against me, I'm going to kill you. They had just accepted Islam. They said, go ahead and do whatever you want. But we have a conviction that with Allah, we're not turning. If someone says, I'm going to call you crazy because you say the sun is out, we'll say, go ahead and call me crazy because the sun is out. People will realize you're crazy, not me. But we will put ourselves on the line to prove something that we're convicted upon. When it comes to salah, dear sisters, is I pray when I have the chance to pray. And I'll pray as fast as I need to pray. So I'm not saying prayer doesn't have a time. But I'm saying, what's the value I give to prayer that prayer can in return give to me? Right? Now there are some who say, okay, Zohar time is until 5 o'clock, I'll pray it at 4:50. Sorry, 4:56. Or the commercial break is on, I could throw in a Zohar prayer right between the two. I'm not saying the prayer isn't done. I'm no one to say that. I'm not the judge. Allah's the judge. You're not praying to me, you're praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our life becomes when I have a chance, Allah's response will be to us, when I have a chance. Allah, I want this. When I have a chance. You know? Allah, I want it right now. I'll give it to you at 4:56. You said there's 4 hours, so I have time also. So there are a few steps that we need to look into prayer today. Number one, when Rasulullah ﷺ was gifted, remember this word, gifted. Prayer is a gift, it's not a command. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say in the Quran, Sallu salah. Because sallu is the action of praying. Allah said, Aqimu. Aqimu. Because Aqimu salah and atu zakah is a unique method which beyond the action itself, it has deep value and deep roots. Its effect is beyond the act itself. In Salah, when Rasulullah ﷺ came back with this gift, there's a hadith, Ammanani Jibreel. Jibreel ﷺ did my imamat. He led me in prayer. He led Rasulullah ﷺ in prayer 2 days. If you go towards the door of the Kaaba, you go to the right. Is where Jibreel ﷺ stood with Rasulullah ﷺ and led him in prayer 2 days. 2 days. Okay? Now, on the first day, he led the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ on the beginning of time. Fajr began, he's leading the prayer. Dhuhr began, he's leading the prayer. Asr, Maghrib, Isha began, and he's leading the prayer. The second day, he led it at the end portion, close to the end. So, Fajr time ends at 7:05. So around maybe 6:55, right? And then 4:55, so on and so forth, right? And then he said, مَا بَيْنَ هَذَيْنِ الْوَقْتَيْنِ وَقْتُ صَلَاتِكُمْ. Between these two times is the time of your prayer. Beautiful thing. Why? Because Allah knows that there are so many things that occupy our mind that would distract us from prayer and committing our time. So he gave us a time frame. Okay, if you wake up in the morning, your blood sugar is low, have breakfast first and then pray. If the kids need to have breakfast because they have to go to school, give them breakfast and go pray. Things happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not denying it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not overlooking this. But when we make it a habit that I'm going to pray in the last 5 minutes, or I'm going to pray as soon as the prayer time starts. Both are problematic. Now I'll explain this to you why. There are some that believe the time of Salah began right now at 12 o'clock. Call it down and pray right now. Doesn't matter what my condition is. Doesn't matter where my mind is. I need to pray so I can show Allah I prayed. It becomes just a practice. It has no value to it. A mindset has been created in some countries. If you don't pray Dhuhr at 1 o'clock and you pray at 2 o'clock, Dhuhr is qada. It's done. It's past its time. No, that's not the truth. But what's happened is, in some countries, pray at the start of the time. You have to build that process of clearing your mind, freeing your tongue and your body for 10 minutes of devotion. You have to give it that time. So the biggest problem, number one, is the time that we give to Salah. Pray whenever you can pray, the sooner the better. Some school of thought say in the hot and long days later, in the winter cold and short days earlier. But find a time. That time shouldn't be filling in a slot between things that you need to do. It shouldn't be between a commercial and the show or a commercial and the movie. It shouldn't be between the fryer getting hot and me frying or the pot boiling and me making tea, whatever it is. We need to give prayer a time, that this is time I'm going to allocate for my Allah and for myself. Question I ask all of you. Does Allah need our prayer? Huh? He does not need our prayer. Angels have been created that till now, from the beginning of time until the day of judgment, their goal, their job is to worship Allah. Yes? There are some angels that right now as we speak are in ruku'. They have been in ruku' since the beginning of time, and they're going to be in ruku' till the end of time. There are some angels that are standing. There are some angels that are in prostration. There are some angels in tashahud. There are some angels making tawaf of the Kaaba up Baytul Ma'mur. Allah has created a creation that is worshiping Him. So He doesn't need our worship. We need salah. Because salah is the roots sprouting from the seed below and the stem sprouting above. This is my salah. That's why I need it. Every salah will strengthen those roots. Every salah will make the tree grow stronger and bigger of my life. Stability. So salah is something I need. Allah doesn't need. Right? So number one was what, sisters? Time. Let us all reassess and reevaluate today. What time am I giving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is it an exclusive time slot or whatever time I find? Based on that, we make our commitments of how to change it out and make it better, inshallah. If a person wants to exercise, if a person wants to be healthy, they take time out for that, yes or no? If a person wants food, something good, they take time out for that, right? We all take time out for everything, including myself. The worst thing in the morning, if I have to juice, I take 45 minutes just getting everything ready, chopping it up, cutting it up. It takes time. But you overlook the time because you look at the outcome is what you were looking for, right? You're looking for your smoothie or whatever, so you take time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I need to give Him time because He needs it. He needs it. I need it. I need it. Number two in regards to salah. I have a course, alhamdulillah, that I've been doing. It took me 2 years, alhamdulillah, with Allah's grace and mercy to put it together. And I've been teaching it up in New Jersey for a year now, alhamdulillah. And the course is how to become a living Quran in the 21st century. We're going to be starting it here from next month, inshallah. It's going to be a Saturday, one Saturday a month. It's almost a 4-hour class. It's a process. It's a process of how to become viable to get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's promises in the Holy Quran. The first 10 juz consist of 9 steps to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 9 steps. So inshallah we'll talk about it in that class, but I want to let you know there's a process. In that process, it entails prayer, salah. Now, in salah, the second mistake that we are making and overlooking and not working on, which in return gives us the value of what we're seeking, is our body movement. Time is one factor that I am deficient on. I'm looking at myself today. Number 2 is my body movement. From the takbir ula or takbir tahrima till my last salam, my salah is a structure of practices in which I find contentment and peace. There's no rush. There is no quick movement. This is not a race. This is actually how I find peace and return in my salah. So for example, let me go through it. From the time we raise our hands, sisters, our hands have to be raised, our entire palms are facing the Qibla. Our entire body, from the toes to our face, everything is facing the Qibla. Our time allotted for ruku, standing up from ruku, in sajda, sitting up from sajda, going back into sajda, has to be a time of its own. This is not salah. We learn from the hadith of Rasulullah SAW, when this type of salah is performed, it's thrown back in the face of the person. For example, I don't know if you saw those videos of persons paying their parking ticket in the city hall, and they took all buckets of pennies. And they were fought with that, no, you cannot give this. He said, this is money. You want money? This is money. But the thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to make our salah because it's needed for us. So we're giving Allah salah, but we're giving Him with ripped up notes, with pennies. I want to ask you to ask yourself, let's put ourselves on the opposite end. How would we receive that? How would we receive that? How would we welcome that? How would we welcome that customer again into our store? Like, oh, there comes a guy with the pennies. Let's lock the door. We're closed for lunch. We don't want you. Why? Because you're a problem, right? If my salah is a rush, I'm not gaining anything from it. Gaining nothing from it. Third problem in our salah, sisters and brothers, all of us, and I'm saying to myself also, is how we read and recite what it is we're supposed to utter. Unfortunately, we were taught in a specific tone or trend or method. But alhamdulillah, fortunately, we were taught. There are people in this world today, they don't have a clue of Islam as Muslims. They don't even understand how prayer has to be performed. They're burying their dead ones without Salatul Janazah. And a time's going to come on this ummah, on this earth, that people would say, we used to see people before doing this. That's where Islam will go to die. And Islam's not going to die because we're going to be ignorant. We won't know. We'll know a lot, but we're not going to be inclined towards practicing it. Hence, our knowledge will sit in a different shelf, and our life will sit in a different shelf. So until we don't merge those two, there is no strength in Islam. I promise you, go to Washington, D.C., into the Library of Congress. They have books on Islam, which hum kehte na Urdu mein Shaz Nadir. They are very unique, ancient books that cannot be found even in the Muslim world. Books are everywhere. No one cares about books. They care about the actions. Those books are written about the actions of those who lived Islam. And they were there to educate us how to do that. Now today we're just learning them and reading them, but it could stay separate from myself. What we utter in our salah from Allahu Akbar, Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabaraka asmuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. I may not understand it, but I am saying the words that the Prophet ﷺ taught me through divine revelation, what I need to say. That's good enough for me to say it. People have paintings in their house and say that's a $20 million painting. What is that? I don't know, but it's expensive. It's good, right? The person who painted it is a famous person, so it's good. I don't care what it looks like, but it's a painting. Allah, my Creator, has told me to connect with Him and speak to Him in a language that He presented to me, that even if I don't know, I can still gain something from Him. Did you know when you say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Allah is speaking with you. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Allah says, Hamidani Abdi. You praise me. But if I'm saying, so if I was to talk to you, sister, like that, you would just walk away, yes or no? I'm like, this guy's crazy. If I'm going to say, hello, how are you? How are you doing? How's the kid? This guy's person's crazy. We're talking to Allah. Every time you call Allah by saying Allahu Akbar, He's picking up the phone. We call our own husbands or children, there's a 50% chance they're going to pick up the phone. They'll send you to voicemail, they'll send you a text, Mom, I'm in class, or I'm busy at work, whatever else, right? Allah, whenever we say Allahu Akbar, He picks up our phone. But when we start talking to Him like that, it's like, okay, you can keep talking to that. I don't know what you're talking about. Give yourself time. Sisters, if you speed 80 miles in a 70-mile zone, you'll get to your destination 2-3 minutes before. In the course of that, you may get a ticket, points, lose your license, whatever, right? It's not worth it. Threaten your life and other people's life. 3 minutes more in salah is not going to change anything. Nothing's going to burn, person at the door could wait for 3 more minutes. It's not going to change anything. So when I utter what I utter in my salah, I'm going to slow it down. When I go in my ruku, instead of saying, Imam, is it 3, 5, or 7 times? And I ask people, 3, 5, 7 times what? Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, or what is that? Even you don't know what you're saying. Say it once, sister. Say it once. When I teach this course, I tell people to say it once. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Say it once. But say it that you can feel it. Say it while your body is relaxed in bowing down. Say it that you feel comfort and ease. Then you stand up. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Rabbana lakal hamd. Allah has heard those that praised Him. Rabbana lakal hamd. Oh, our Lord, for you is praise. Allah is hearing those who are praising Him, and now I'm praising Allah. But if it's Sami Allahu liman hamida, Allahu Akbar. What have we done to Allah? We have made a mockery out of our salah. Thus, in return, we're not gaining from our salah. Our plant is stressed from the time it sprouts, and it cannot grow. Our salah is not growing. We are not growing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us salah as a strategic tool to reset our body, mind, and soul. Just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the night and sleep to reset our emotional state. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the night, its tranquility, its peace to reset ourselves. But if we're waking up and we're still aggravated and we're annoyed and we're angry and we're frustrated and our emotions are on tipping level, what happens at nighttime is all those containers in our head that are filled with all the problems, by morning they should be empty again. They should be empty again. And to regulate them through the day is our salah, to make sure that we're not getting angry, agitated, frustrated so much. It's to manage those levels. But we're not allowing those levels to be managed. Hence, they reach a tipping point from the beginning of the day. They overflow during the course of the day. And at nighttime, since we can't sleep properly because maybe our sleep patterns are changed, what happens is this is a rollover effect. And the more it rolls over, the more it becomes an avalanche, right? A small snowball starts and it becomes a bigger one, and then next thing you know, all the snow on the mountain is shaking and everything is coming down and the towns could be wiped out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me an instrument to reset. From one salah to another salah is kafaratul lima baynahuma. It's a means of exonerating ourselves and cleansing ourselves from the sins. One salah to next salah, one jum'ah to next jum'ah. These are means of spiritually resetting us. Are you telling me that emotionally, physically, mentally it's not resetting me? Yes, it is. But if my salah becomes salah, then it's going to happen, right? So we talked about the time. Let us start giving Allah time, and then we can get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala His time, right? Let us give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calm actions. Let's give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala slow words. And the last thing on salah I want to talk about, sisters, is our eyes. It's a discipline of the whole body, including our eyes. In salah, we come to peace when we are in prayer, that our eyes are either looking to where we are making sajda when we're standing, by our feet when we're in ruku, on our lap when we're sitting down, on our shoulders when we're giving salam, right? And the tip of our nose when we're in sajda. Our eyes have to be focused. If someone is speaking to you, or you are speaking to someone, and they're looking everywhere, you're talking to them, they're looking, forget looking everywhere, they're looking at their phone. The biggest problem in our society today. Huh? It's a matter of time when we lose balance. I don't know if you all know, in Tampa, this was a common phenomenon even within the Muslim community. The child, the mother, the father, everyone's playing Fortnite. And do you know right now, because of Fortnite, how many divorces are occurring? Some amazing statistics are coming from Britain. And they're on the path of banning this thing because this is causing division in the house. It's a game, and people, even the teachers of the Islamic school, are playing Fortnite all night. They come to school late. What is going on? If we cannot detach ourselves from these things, it will become hard to attach to those things that you need. And when you don't get what you need, our spirituality, that balance, our lives are gone. So, in respect of that, our eyes are a part of our concentration in salah. We will not be looking around. We will be focusing on our salah. Once I can do it, I can create a trend where the sisters in the sister section, the girls at home, my husband, son, anyone, they will start performing salah like that because they will see a sense of peace. Yes or no? When yoga was introduced, it was a foreign thing, right? Now you go to malls, and the malls are doing yoga. Like in Florida, we have the outdoor malls. In the middle, right there in the grass area, they're having yoga classes at 5 o'clock. People are doing yoga. And for 2-3 minutes, they're stuck in the same position. We can't even do ruku for 2 seconds properly, and they're stuck in the same position for like at least 30 seconds. Bring yourself to peace. Understand that salah is giving you what you need. We're not giving anything to Allah. Allah doesn't need it. When we create this mindset and we change that perception that we have because we're praying because if we don't pray, Allah's going to throw us in Jahannam. Let me tell you where that comes from. When we're not resetting ourselves and reconnecting with our source, the seed, and we're not continuing to balance our lives will become uncontrollable. Our expectations will become uncontrollable. Our desires will become uncontrollable. Our everything will become so hard that we will not be able to satisfy our own selves despite having everything that we needed. And what happens, a person becomes ghafil from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person becomes disconnected from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person will do for themselves and not do for the other life. And ultimately, they have no currency tomorrow to get to paradise. So understand these are 4 things. Our time, our actions, our words, and our eyes are essential in the salah itself. Let me see where we are here. We have 2 more minutes left. That being said, the author who wrote this book wrote it in a way that they showed us the upper height of this structure, and that is the conviction of these sisters. We are starting now from ground up to build that and make it possible. And the first part of sprouting from the seed was what, sisters? Salah. When our salah becomes of this level, anytime we have anxiety, stress, problem, we're going to pray our salah. Shuruq, duha, awabin, tahajjud, nawafil. We're just going to pray 2 rak'ah. Because you're going to start feeling something now. Right? When you're thirsty, you drink fluids, right? When you're hungry, you eat food. You know what to resort to. When our lives start feeling shaky, Allahu Akbar. Just when Allahu Akbar changes everything. So the author writes here, the first part, she worships Allah. It is no surprise that a true Muslim woman enthusiastically worships her Lord because she knows that she is obliged to observe all the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has enjoined upon every Muslim, male or female. So she carries this out properly without making excuses or compromises or being negligent. Now, how do I know I'm building my salah? If I can pray my farad, the sunnah before it, and the sunnah after it, my salah is becoming stronger. Days may come that I may not be able to pray everything, so I'll pray the sunnah and the farad. Days may be that I'm traveling and I could just about pray the farad. But I tell you one thing, sisters, if my salah is only the farad, believe me, the farad will go just like this. When the time comes, I'm in a crunch zone, I will miss my farad. That means I haven't grasped this tool yet. Because if I understood this tool, I could have used it for many things. But I need to understand its importance. So my salah, its growth will be gauged how I can also pray the sunnah before, the farad itself, and the sunnah and the nafil after it. And I'll feel happy. My salah will go from a 5 minute to 15 minutes, 10 more minutes, because of sunnah and stuff, but that's fine. I feel good because of this 15, I'm willing to give it. Worst case scenario, pick up the child, and this has to happen in that meeting and that thing. Okay, I'll pray my sunnah and the farad. I won't do the nafil today, but at least you still have a structure. The least we are holding on to it, the chances are we're going to slip easily. And that's how our farad also go. Now, one point to make, inshallah, time is up. For those of us who have missed salah in the past, remember, salah is a duty that we've taken upon ourselves as Muslim to perform. You signed on for a credit card, now you have to make the monthly payments, right? No one stopped you from charging, now you have to make the monthly payments. If we don't make the monthly payments, then of course, you know what happens after that, right? They're gonna, we'll get the yellow slip and then the red slip, and then our credit score falls. So in order to maintain our credit score, we pay the minimal balance at least. So with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is our connection. We need to do this. Inshallah, we will start understanding the value of salah and building on our salah and feeling that contentment and satisfaction through salah and that connection through salah. But for those salah that have passed, make a chart. I think in my life I missed 5 years of prayer. I missed 5 years maybe. Now how am I going to make those up? What I'll do is after every Fajr prayer, I'll make 2 farad of Fajr. After every Dhuhr, I'll make 4 farad of Dhuhr. After every Asr, I'll make 4 Asr also. For those who follow the Hanafi school of thought and believe that there's no prayer after Asr and Fajr, you can pray make-up prayers. You can pray it. So make up a prayer. And keep this moving, one at a time. And inshallah, we can cover the back and we can continue building forward, inshallah. Does that make sense? Any questions on this? Next week, we're going to go through the ahadith that exemplify the importance and honor of salah in the book. But any questions on this? I thought it was important to cover these 4 points because one is you're being told pray, and one is that we're just doing the action. But no, I don't want to just do the action. I want to feel something through the action, inshallah. So let's adjust these 4 things, inshallah. Say inshallah. And I promise you, you will feel. You will feel that connection, you will feel that interest, and you will feel that inclination to resort to salah, inshallah. Sister.
I have a question about the time. Did you say not to pray when the time starts for salah? Did you say take a little time to prepare
So
myself?
a person could pray at the beginning time or close to the end, but they shouldn't make this hard and fast that, it becomes a habit, we're always praying at the end time. It's disturbing. Find a slot and a time that you're going to give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We learn from the traditions is that in the longer days, let it cool off a bit, dhuhr. In the shorter days, do it a bit early. But don't make it hard and fast. What's wrong and problematic is that we're always giving Allah the last minutes, or we created a system. No, stop, just pray right now. And you're not ready to pray. Your mind is with so many things, but there's that cultural perception. Adhan is called to pray right now. Okay, yes, you pray. But the thing is, if that's how you want to do it, then give yourself 10, 20 minutes to prepare yourself, to remove everything away. Because when we say Allahu Akbar, we're pushing everything away. I'm pushing everything behind me, and I'm embracing my Allah right now, and I'm talking to Him. So just leave me alone at this time. So build this thing, and not to make salah as a burden. Let's get it done, so we're not going to go hellfire for that. And let's not make it as something that, I have to give those 5 minutes or I'm going to miss it, Find the balance. There's a balance in that, inshallah. And Allah understands our lives. So let's not fix something and let's not continue to delay it unnecessarily. Inshallah. Sister?
With regards to covering up your salahs that you have missed,
Mhm.
do we do witr as well? Because I have learned that witr, you only pray 1 witr a night.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're covering up, that makes it 2 witr.
So according to the Hanafi school of thought, we make up our witr also because it's wajib for us. So even though you're praying the one for the day, you're making up one for the past.
Okay.
So
So you pray that.
you'll pray that, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Questions? Someone had a question here? Yes.
Yeah, heard that when you do your sunnahs, that you go the, I don't know if you were not
Mhm.
asking you, but in the day of judgment, that will cover your part. Is that true?
So basically, on the Day of Judgment, if there is any deficiency found in the product prayer itself, it can be covered up with the sunnah. But if we had no sunnahs and we don't have any nafil, it's going to be hard to, to cover that up. So yes,
So it's better to do like 4 fard than 4 fard, or do the sunnahs? Because for Zohar you have 4 sunnah, 4 fard, so automatically you couple. Or do you do extra 4?
you will do your 4 sunnah first, inshallah, and then you'll do your 4 farad. And if you're making up, you'll make up 4 after that. And then inshallah, slowly we'll do the 2 sunnah after dhuhr. Some people who are not accustomed to praying the sunnah, so I would say first, just do 2 sunnah after dhuhr first. And then after you do the 4 farad and 2 sunnah, start adding the 4 sunnah before that also. It's a process. Don't just think we're gonna go all out and get all the sunnahs covered from today. Start building it slowly and seeing how that makes you feel. But it's a process, inshallah. So yeah, the 4 sunnah before dhuhr is what's there. Then there's the 4 farad, the 2 sunnah after, and 2 nafil also, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Anyone else, inshallah? We're gone 5 minutes over. Jazakumullah khairan. I think we're going to continue keeping this time slot because mashallah sisters are coming. Alhamdulillah, we're going to take this slowly. As I said, we're not here to finish books. We're here to reassess and reevaluate our life and make our practices stronger, make our structure of life firmer, and also, inshallah, allow our actions to become contagious. I always like saying, make your actions contagious. Make your actions such that other people want to do just like that. That's how it should be, inshallah. Yes, sister.
There was a little discussion after, at the end of Sheikh Arfal's class last time that if this class could start at 11, would that be possible for you? They said it would be up to you as well.
Did everyone agree for 11? Is it okay for everyone? Because again, I want to make sure that the people in attendance are
I don't know
comfortable.
where the sister is who had the sign-up sheet that
Okay.
she was making.
Yeah.
You have names, right?
Yeah, I had a name and it was 50-50 for Thursday
Oh,
class and Tuesday class. So I was